Scream 7 has made yet another puzzling casting decision this past week, which has some fans super excited for this new installment, while others are up in arms, losing any and all faith in this one. Today, let's talk about the reality of this confusing situation, and if there's any hope left for Scream 7 to be taken seriously at all. Now let's get into it. Hey everybody, I'm KillJoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Deadline reports this week that 2 dead ghost faces from Scream's past have just joined the cast for Scream 7. What is going on? I've been making jokes in these videos about I think we're living in the Matrix. I think this confirms it. Those 2 include Scott Foley, who played Roman Bridger in Scream 3, Sydney's long-lost brother, and, drumroll please, Matthew Lillard as STU MACHER. If you've been following Scream for some time now, you've probably heard theories from folks about how some people don't think that STU MACHER actually died at the end of Scream 1. This news, of course, lit the fan base on fire, some people speculating that Stu could actually still come back from the dead. The impetus for this theory, of course, comes from a few things. Some fans claim that dropping a 50 to 60 pound CRT television on your head would not actually kill a man, and also Matthew makes a little cameo in Scream 2 that came out just a year after the original. This led fans to believe that the character was still alive, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the best time to strike again. This is a possibility as of right now because no character details have been reported from Deadline as to what Matthew Lillard or Scott Foley's role will be in the upcoming Scream film. Even though I'm pretty much about to debunk it in today's video, it is a possibility that they could be reviving these very, very dead characters. This is one of the most divisive updates we have gotten for Scream 7, which is saying something considering the last 2 years of updates. Just to recap some of those, Melissa Barrera, the star of Screams 5 and 6, was fired from the upcoming project for posts made to her social media page. The original director of Scream 7, Christopher Landon, dropped out of the project because things got too toxic. He was getting attacked by fans on the internet. There's been multiple delays to the production, a ton of script rewrites, and a bunch of confusing casting decisions. It has been one of the most tumultuous things I have ever covered on this page, without a doubt. This update is up there though, because while some fans are super excited, others have lost any and all faith in this new movie. The other side to this argument is that bringing back Stu is nonsensical, as the character clearly died in the third act of the original film, receiving multiple stab wounds from his partner Billy and one of the heaviest television sets known to man straight to the face. There's also the question of why would he wait this long to exact his revenge on Sydney, and where has he been hiding all this time too? I mean, has he just been jerking off in that secret basement we just found out about in Scream 5? Scream 7 might answer that question with a yes, dude. The biggest con to this theory of all, besides the logistics of course, is the fact that if Stu was hiding for 30 years in solitude for that entire time period, do we really think he would be the goofy, campy, over-the-top killer that he was in the original film? No! I would argue that this version of Stu would be way more brooding and stoic. I don't think fans want to see that version of Stu. The reason that people love Matthew Lillard so much, including myself, he's my favorite Ghostface, is because of how silly and over-the-top his performance is, especially in the third act of that first Scream film. I don't know why anyone would want to see a tortured version of this beloved character. I really don't think they're going to revive this character back from the dead, but I do think there are 2 other options that have to be happening in this movie, otherwise, what's going on, dog? Like, I guess there's an argument to be made that maybe Stu is still alive after everything that happened to him in Scream 1, but Roman Bridger, dude? There's no argument there. He's definitely dead after everything he went through in the third act of Scream 3. Come on! With today's video though, let's explore some of the other interesting theories of why these characters could be coming back for the 7th installment. First and foremost is the updated voice changer theory. Many fans have speculated that Matthew and Scott have returned to simply lend their voices to this project. The new Ghostface in Scream 7, who I'm betting is McKenna Grace and Anna Camp, could be using a voice changer similar to the one we saw in Scream 3, to replicate the voices of previous villains, to psychologically torment Sydney in the present. Obviously, there's some pros and cons with that theory, however. What I love about this is it could be director Kevin Williamson and writer Guy Busick's way of improving an element to Scream 3 that has always just felt like a cheap gimmick. Scream is a franchise that only works because it is loosely rooted in reality. There's nothing paranormal here to antagonize our characters. The villain is usually one of your friends sitting right next to you, hiding in plain sight. It's a crucial element to this series that makes the characters relatable and the commentary sharp. And it's yet another reason why bringing STU MACHER back from the dead would completely undermine everything that came before in this series. It's also why the voice changer in Scream 3 doesn't really work for me. It's just a goofy way of giving Ghostface a new power and serves no greater purpose. Here in Scream 7, however, it could be used as commentary on the dangers of AI technology. There are currently many folks in the film industry who are losing jobs due to the new advancements in AI, and we're already seeing filmmakers attempt to make movies with it, even though all of the projects that I've seen look like absolute dog water. That Evil Dead thing that's been going around is embarrassing. Ghostface using AI software to replicate voices of the previous slashers that Sidney has fought would make for some sharp commentary here that vilifies the taboo tech. This could also mean that more names from the past may be announced soon, including Skeet Ulrich, who played Billy Loomis in the original. More on that later. While I do really like the idea of reinventing some kind of half-assed idea from a previous Scream sequel, it does come with its cons. AI commentary has already been done in many horror films already, the most popular probably being Megan from 2023. This could also just simply be utilized for nostalgia baiting, which is so anti-Scream in my opinion. Scream is a franchise that, yes, has built itself around nostalgia for horror movies, but in a very unique and specific way. Scream pointed the finger at many horror movies in the original film, including Halloween, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and Candyman. It identified the slasher tropes and purposefully subverted them to tell a fresh story. That's why it's the giant franchise that it is today. For instance, Sidney Prescott loses her virginity during the events of the first film, and still defeats both of the douchebags under the mask in the end. Sidney defies Randy's list of rules to survive a horror movie, and she still comes out on top. That's what makes her one of the best final girls out there. If Scream 7 just brings back Matthew and Scott to voice their characters from the past with no real greater purpose, it would turn the series into a rule-following by-the-books franchise. Scream is punk rock, man. This franchise should never just copy and paste what all the other movies are doing. That's the whole point. This announcement just has me so worried they're going to land themselves into that hypocritical pitfall. The only way a reinvention of the voice changer thing can work here in Scream 7 is if it plays into Ghostface's new motive. This killer has to want to torture Sidney for a reason we just don't know yet. If they execute this right, I'd be all for it, even though that does mean we won't hear Roger L. Jackson's beautiful deliveries as much in this one. Now, with all of that, there's another theory bouncing around right now that is a massive gamble, but if they execute it correctly, it could make for one of the coolest sequences in a Scream film ever. Daniel Richtman, an industry scooper, has just reported that Skeet Ulrich is also being eyed to return for the 7th entry. Now listen, Daniel is a third-party source here, so take this with a grain of salt, but there might be some truth to this. I can totally see this happening, as Skeet previously appeared in Screams 5 and 6 as hallucinations that only Sam Carpenter could see. If this ends up being true, we could see an opening scene that takes place before the events of the original Scream, showcasing Maureen Prescott's murder, the inciting incident to this entire series. Now, while Matthew Lillard and Scott Foley are already attached to Scream 7, what would also have to happen is that Skeet Ulrich would have to be cast in this film, as well as Liev Schreiber's Cotton Weary. Is it Liev or Liv? Liv Schreiber? That sounds wrong. We're just gonna call him by his silly name, Cotton. Scream 96 revealed that Billy and Stu were the ones to kill Sidney's mother a year prior to the first Ghostface massacre, one of the many elements to the big twist. Cotton Weary was wrongfully accused by Sidney, as Gale would point out in that film. It was then revealed in Scream 3 that Roman was the one to set this plan into motion, as he's Sidney's secret half-brother. Maureen Prescott rejected him after he found her and couldn't accept that his mother hated him. He ended up showing Billy Loomis a video of his father having an affair with Maureen Prescott, which pissed him off so much it turned him into a cold-blooded killer. Now that's the basics on what we know about Maureen's murder, but what if Scream 7 added another layer to it? What if the opening scene to Scream 7 shows us how Billy, Stu, and Roman executed this with some other element that was previously unknown to us? Just like Scream 3, they could add more to this event by saying another person in Woodsboro was involved somehow. Maybe this character or a descendant of that character is our new killer here in the 7th entry. Something else really interesting that came out this past week is that Scream 7 allegedly takes place in a small town in Indiana. New set photos arrived this week that shows off some police vehicles that are labeled Pine Grove, Indiana. Maybe yet another person from Sidney's past has followed her all the way to the other side of the country, pretty much. Now, while I think it would be awesome to see the inciting incident that kicked off every Ghostface massacre that followed, I don't know if I would love this twist. Easily the biggest issue with the latest Scream sequel sequels is their unwillingness to sever themselves from the past. Every movie goes back to the original somehow, overcomplicating what could be a fun little murder mystery slasher film. Scream 5 especially suffers from this. I mean, I get our killers here are trying to make a requel, but did we really have to make the setting for the third act the same one from the original film? The only reason they did that, say it with me now, is because of nostalgia. I love that word though, it is fun to say. It's exhausting and makes me wonder how much better those last two installments of Scream could have been had they done something slightly more original. I mean, you literally could have just set it in a different gorgeous mansion like how Scream 4 did, and we all would have ate that up. It goes back to that same argument I was just going on about how this series used to handle nostalgia. Subvert expectations so you're not just using the same playbook as every other franchise out there right now. Like I said, that's just not a very Screamy thing to do. Even though I am a huge fan of Scott Foley, Skeet Ulrich, and Matthew Lillard, I'm just not thrilled about this news. But I can't deny the excitement coming from a large portion of the fan base here. It's infectious seeing so many people excited to potentially see their favorite ghost faces on screen again. Even though I have my reservations, if they do just bring Stu or Roman back for whatever reason, I know a lot of fans will really enjoy something like that. It may not be my cup of tea, but it's not the end of the world. It is just a movie at the end of the day. I'm gonna live vicariously through a lot of you. All aboard the Stu train, baby. We're taking all the passengers we can get. Hey everybody, before we wrap up today's update video, please make sure to like this one and subscribe for more horror updates just like this. I would greatly appreciate it as we're almost at 30,000 subscribers. I can't even tell you how much that means to me. Thank you to everybody who supports this page in any sort of way. I want to remind everybody that this is just my movie opinion. Obviously, not everyone is going to agree, but what do you guys think about this news? Please be kind to each other in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.